Alaric carves Isolde's name into the wall at dawn, proving he remembers her despite the memory reset. She realizes he has been pretending to forget to test her loyalty. The first light came through the narrow windows like pale milk poured into dark water. Isolde woke to it, that gradual brightening that turned the vaulted chamber from absolute black to something almost habitable. She lay in the tattered four-poster bed, the silk canopy above her head like a ghost's shroud, and for a moment she simply existed in the space between sleep and waking, the weight of yesterday still pressing on her chest. Then she saw it, her name, carved into the stone wall above the chamber's eastern window where the dawn light pooled directly into each letter like spilled milk, deep gouges in the ancient mortar, deliberate and clear, Isolde. She was out of bed before conscious thought could catch up. The cold stone floor struck her bare feet, a shock that grounded her in her own body, and she crossed the chamber in 3 strides. The carved letters were under her fingertips, tracing their edges, fresh. The stone dust still clung to the grooves, pale and fine as powder. Alaric had done this, last night or in the small hours before dawn when the manor held its breath. While she slept, he had taken a chisel to solid stone and written her name where the first light would find it. "You see what I have done?" His voice came from the shadows near the doorway, where the dawn hadn't yet reached. Isolde spun, her hand still pressed against the wall, against her own name carved in permanence. Alaric stepped forward into the light. His pale skin caught the glow and threw it back, so that for an instant he seemed almost translucent, a figure sketched in charcoal and smudged eraser. His eyes, those dark obsidian depths, held something she couldn't name, not quite triumph, not quite vulnerability. "Why?" The word came out before she could shape it into anything more careful. "Why pretend to forget?" He moved closer, his hand outstretched toward the carved stone, his fingers hovering near her name as if he might touch it through her. "I needed to know, Isolde. I needed to know if you would still be mine, even if I forgot. You risked everything." She turned fully from the wall now, facing him across the span of the chamber. Her hand fell to her cloak, a gesture of self-protection, though she didn't pull it closed. "Our love, our lives, everything. For you I would risk anything, even my very soul." The words hung between them like incense smoke. She felt them settle into her chest, heavy with the weight of what they meant. He hadn't forgotten. He'd been watching her decipher his coded entries, watching her work through the journal's secrets, watching her loyalty bend and stretch under the pressure of his apparent erasure. Testing, always testing. The anger should have been sharper. Instead, she felt something else entirely, a strange aching recognition of what it meant that he'd carved her name in stone before the dawn took him again, that he'd done it knowing he might wake with no memory of the act, that the chisel marks would be all that remained of his devotion. He reached out, and this time she didn't step back. His fingers found her cheek, traced the line of her jaw with a gentleness that contradicted everything. The predator's grace of his movements, the hunger in those dark eyes. The tattoos on his face seemed to writhe in the shifting light. "Your name," she said quietly. "You carved it in the wall before dawn took you." "I carved what I needed to remember, what mattered most." He didn't look away, didn't deny it. "You." She placed her hand over his, her fingers intertwining with his. His skin was cool, almost cold, but it felt real under her touch, solid, present. "You remember me? You've always remembered." The word was a confession. She turned from him, her fists clenched, the anger finally surfacing, not at his love, but at the precision of his deception. "You let me decipher your codes while you watched from the dark." The honesty of it stopped her. She stood at the window, looking out at the carved letters of her own name, glowing in the dawn. Behind her she heard him move, a measured step, the soft whisper of velvet against stone. He didn't touch her again, but she felt his presence like a held breath. "You risked my trust," she said. "And I would do the same, for you." The words spilled from her before she could second-guess them, and once spoken they became true in a way that nothing else had been. She turned back to him and saw something shift in his face, not triumph now, but something more fragile. Relief, perhaps, or recognition of what they'd both just acknowledged, that their love had teeth, that it could consume them both. He pulled her closer, his lips brushing against her ear. She could smell the stone dust on him, the scent of mourning and effort, and the desperate act of carving permanence into a world that erased him daily. She leaned in and captured his lips with her own, a searing kiss that tasted like salt and sorrow and the strange, terrible sweetness of being known completely, even by someone who might forget her tomorrow. When they broke apart, the dawn had spread further across the chamber. The carved letters of her name caught the light fully now, each stroke a small scar of memory that had survived the night's erasure. Proof that he remembered. Proof that he always had.